So this fall here at Salt House, as we've returned to in-person worship, which includes worship from home, as well as we've launched small groups and our new Wednesday nights at Salt House, as well as last Sunday, we've launched our invitation to sign up and get involved here as well. You've probably picked up on how we are really inviting y'all, all of us, to engage in the life of our community, right? And we want to take a moment to acknowledge that even in regular pre-COVID times, the energy and time and courage that it takes to just show up, that can feel really intimidating. And now, so many of us, we have atrophied in our social skills, and we just feel isolated and even more intimidated. And we just want to acknowledge that and say, yes, we know that. And because of that, before we get to our sermon time for today, we want to take a moment to revisit a helpful tool we developed a few years ago to name that we all engage in different ways and how that engagement kind of ebbs and flows for us. Like that's a thing and that's okay, all right? So we're going to walk through this. We call it the continuum of engagement. Dun, dun, dun. So it's a flow of how you can get involved in different ways. And we're going to kind of work through these different boxes, but I'm going to be really clear that it's not a linear progression. It's not like you start in one and you move to the next one. Some people jump all the way in. And for most of us, we're actually in many of those boxes at the same time, at different times. But it's more, so you're not trying to pinpoint your place necessarily, but it's more like looking at how you want to engage in relationship for this season and understanding that these are options that you have that let that ideal become a reality. So listen for how you might want to engage as we walk through these, okay? So first up on that left, it's just the show up and simply be here, right? This is a thing and this is enough. Whether you're recovering from hurt or just been away from the church for a while or feeling too overwhelmed by life or COVID or just checking things out, just showing up and you are a part of us. That's it. So both in person and across the globe. So that is a level of engagement, okay? Moving over to the next one, another level of engagement is when we choose to really intentionally connect and converse. That is a thing too. So this looks like the intentional connection, like in the rows that we were just doing, right? In the pews here on Sunday, as well as commenting online and engaging with each other in that way. So it's when we make an effort to reach out and be curious and open and bringing who we are with some reality and vulnerability and into those few moments that we do have during and after worship, okay? So that's another level of engagement. The next one is engaging as a volunteer, and particularly on Sundays, when we engage with others and when we get to work together, again, that is such a thing that draws us together into engagement. Again, we launched those signups to volunteer this last Sunday, so that's just another way that is wildly accessible. It's a way to start building connections with others and deepen your engagement here in Salt House, all right? All right, the next one, engaging in small groups that gather around an interest or a book or a topic, just doing that for a season. Our small groups are dedicated to connecting with God and each other and growth, right? So we have in-person and online options so everyone can grow in groups. We've said a lot about small groups in the last few weeks as many of them have launched, but there is a new option that's going to be starting this Wednesday. We'll say more about that in a minute. And then in 3 weeks from now, another one is going to start, so know that you can still jump into some options if you haven't. And then finally, just the deepest level of engagement here is on our ministry teams and even stepping into a role of leadership with one of those teams. This is when you all make the commitment to invest in one of our key areas like homelessness, our care team, our church council, our finance team, or any of the other teams that really drive our ministry and leadership here. In these places, not only is it a chance to make a measurable impact in the life of our community and what we're able to do in our world, but it also is a way for you to grow and have an impact on your own life and skills and find meaningful engagement here in relationship. So some of these kind of ministry teams and leadership, that's also included in some of the signups out there, so you can take a look for some of those, or let us know if you want to engage in kind of that most immersive way of being here, okay? So as you consider the continuum of engagement, where do you see yourself now? And where would you like to be? If there's anything that we can do just to talk through what you're interested in or what you're looking for, we'd love to help you with that, so reach out to any of us here on staff. Okay, thank you for walking through the continuum with me, okay? So this all, of course, connects to where we've been this fall, right? In our Sunday morning sermon conversations, we've actually been holding 2 simultaneous conversations this fall. The first has been our intentionality in listening for God together. So we've had this circle that we've been looking at. We just sang, we've been taking a moment, right? How we are recognizing that when we pay attention to our lives, we live into and notice kairos moments as we're cruising through life. We hit these speed bumps. And that can invite us into the process of asking God, what are you saying to me in this? And we end up circling through this process that then leads us to the question, and what am I going to do about it? It's just a really powerful tool to practice when we're feeling so weary and isolated and sick and done with COVID and overwhelmed by the suffering and injustices of our world. With all that we're carrying and all that's coming at us, it's kind of like, wow, there's too much. But this becomes a really practical tool for us to use to sift through and hear and experience our loving God as here and with us and speaking to us in all that is happening right now. So it's called the Learning Circle, and if you missed that sermon about it, go back and check it out so you can get what all those words mean, because there's a lot of good stuff in there connected to the Jesus story, so go back and listen. And then, so we've been holding that, right? Like, what is God saying to me? Trying to notice kairos this fall. Then our other conversation of faith has been about relationships, because, man, this is such a hard time, an extended season where it's hard to feel connected and known and to have any sense of meaning. So we looked to Jesus' pattern of how he spends his time. Jesus had 3 great loves, right? Say them with me. He spent his time where? He spent his time up with God in communion and prayer. He spent his time in with his disciples in relationship, doing life, and he got out. That's right, engaging with the needs and suffering in our world. So this is a pattern for our lives too. We need all 3 of these relationships, especially now, right? But it's really a tool. We can ask ourselves, how's my up? How's my in? How's my out? And we can ask that of each other too.